Welcome to the Going Executive Director Show. Our purpose is to share with you the vision, skills, techniques, motivation, inspiration, and daily activities needed to build a solid, profitable business. Always remember, this is our team's philosophy. It's your business and you need to do what's best for you and your family. So get out a pen and paper and let's take some notes.
Awesome, guys. I'm just sending out some invites here to some people who have asked to be part of this. If you can you tag Neville?
Yep.
And some other people asked me to be on here. Bailey here. Certain people have reached out to me and said they definitely want to be tagged in this. Dan, how you doing? Adrian, how are you? So this is actually the Going Executive Director Show, guys. So this is specifically towards the company we're in. I like to give out that detail and disclaimer so that way nobody gets confused. The MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, which is specific to basically building a business, is going to be here after this. It starts at noon. So this is actually the Going Executive Director Show, which is specific to the company we're in. It is going to give out details of the company we're in. So if that's not for you, I'm just giving you all the heads up, so that way you don't end up being like, what in the world? This is all details of a company. So years ago, I saw a business, two business models, and I found a way to merge them. So just kind of my backstory to this is in 2005, of all places, going way back. A friend of mine said, hey, I found this company, and I don't know if you've ever heard of this company. And at the time, it was called Prepaid Legal. And he's like, I heard of this company, Prepaid Legal, and I think you could use it for what you're trying to do with real estate. And at that time, what I was trying to do with real estate is I had all these leads of people who didn't qualify for houses. And I found a way to use Prepaid Legal to fix people's credit. When I say fix people's credit, I had a 6-step system to put people back together. Step 1 was pull their credit. Step 2 was do an evaluation. Step 3 was something called optoutprescreen.com, if you've never heard of that before. Optoutprescreen.com. The 3 credit bureaus sell all of our information to third-party companies, and what we ended up doing is I found a link that you could go in and opt out of that system. If you ever wondered how junk mail knows where to go, because I always wondered, why does my grandma get different junk mail than my mom, than my friends, than me, is the credit bureaus are actually selling our information to these third-party companies that market to us. So you can actually completely opt out of that system. 2 things are really cool. Number 1 is you don't get junk mail anymore, which is awesome. Number 2, and it's not that you won't get any junk mail, but a lot of the junk mail completely goes away. So if you just want to know how to get out of junk mail, the majority of it, we're talking about like 90% of the crap that comes to you, go to optoutprescreen.com. Now there's a lot of fake ones. The one you're looking for is free. The other people are going to try to charge you a bunch of money. So you have to go to the actually real source. Don't Google this shit, go to the wrong site and be like, Jeff, it costs money. No, it doesn't. You went to the wrong site. Optoutprescreen.com, and you can opt out of that system. Once you opt out of that system, 1, you get less junk mail. 2, it'll raise your credit score for free. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why would it raise your credit score? Well, credit scores are based on risk factors. Optoutprescreen.com. I'll put it up. So optoutprescreen.com, you're basically going to go in, fill that out, and you're actually able to opt out of their marketing system, which makes you less at risk for signing up for some crap that'll get you in trouble. So it actually raises your credit score. I've been doing this for years. It's a very cool, free way to kind of get your stuff back together. The 4th thing is establishing credit. If you don't have any credit at all, there's ways to establish credit even right out of bankruptcy. So my story is years ago, I made some horrible financial decisions, including getting married way before I should, in a bad situation, let's put it that way. And I ended up getting divorced. I ended up getting sick, finding out I had cancer. I ended up buying a bunch of property at a time that I thought was going to be really cool and it was going to all work out. I was like playing Monopoly for real. I had a bunch of houses. Dallas is with us. What's happening? So I had all this kind of going, and then all of a sudden that whole system, obviously 2005, eventually all that stuff collapsed. So I ended up with about a $3.5 million bankruptcy, which is deep, real deep. And I tried to figure all that out. It didn't work out. I ended up meeting with an attorney, and the attorney's like, look, you have 3 choices. Number 1, you can fly somewhere we can't find you, which sounded really good. Number 2, you can win the lottery maybe more than once, because obviously $1 million won't even put a dent in this. You're going to have to win like a $25 million lottery. And number 3, you're just going to have to file bankruptcy. And that's what I ended up having to do. I had to wipe it all out. It was Chapter 7. I had foreclosure. I had a car repossession. I had people suing me. I had utility. I mean, it was everything. It was bad. I went from this big 4-bedroom house with, a nice BMW to basically living on my friend's couch with a $600 pickup truck. It was like the last purchase I made before everything crashed, because I knew I was going to need a car, and I knew it would probably have to be something in cash. So I bought this $600 pickup truck that really didn't have any brakes. I take that back. It had a brake. It didn't have a parking brake. So it was a 4 on the floor. For those of you who don't understand that was basically, there were 4 gears and reverse, and you had to shift it into gear to actually get it to stop rolling away, which it almost did and hit a client's car at one point, but that's beside the point. So that's kind of where I was at. My friend tells me about this company, Prepaid Legal at the time. I had no idea what it was. Eventually, I ran into another guy who explains it to me. Or not really, he didn't explain it to me. He handed me a magazine and a DVD. I took it home. I watched it in fast forward because I was so busy trying to do loans, trying to get out of the situation I was in. I didn't understand it. I called him back and I said, look, I'm sure you guys have a meeting or something. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't you have like a formal overview with a PowerPoint? Oh yeah, we do. I said, well, when is it? He's like, it's Monday. I was like, awesome. Kenny was with us. What's up? I said, when's your meeting? He's like, it's Monday. This was 2005. I ended up driving to the east side of town to this hotel, and there's like 7-8 people in the room. There really were. I mean, it was a small meeting. There were like 7 or 8 people in the room, including myself. My friend who had called me, I ended up inviting them. Michelle's with us. What's happening? I ended up inviting my friend with us, and we see the presentation, and I saw this identity theft and this legal thing. And what I did is I found a way to use the identity theft to actually do step 5 in my system, which is the disputing process. If you're kind of catching this halfway through, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? I developed a 6-step system to put your credit back together. Step 4 was establish credit. Step 5 was disputing. So I found a way to use this to dispute people's inaccuracies on their credit report, because the identity theft product that Prepaid Legal at the time developed had a direct link to the credit bureau. So I found a way to pick up the phone, call the 1-800 number and say, this is wrong. And then they would fire out the letters to the credit bureaus, writing 0 letters yourself personally, which is what I was doing before. Step 6 was payment plans, settlements, negotiations, which is what I used Prepaid Legal for, is to solve those issues. Because they said, you could buy this product that was this nationwide network of attorneys, and you basically could use them for any legal issue, and somebody said including debt collection or debt issues. And I was like, well, what about credit issues, this, that, and the other thing? And I remember I interrupted the meeting, and he's like, wait till you're done. And then I asked a question. He's like, yeah, I can't guarantee what the attorney will and won't do, because I'm not the attorney, but I can tell you that they do handle issues like that. They do write letters like that. They have made phone calls like that to straighten out debt stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. So I had already read the Fair Credit Reporting Act. I had already read Life After Bankruptcy. I had already read another generic book that was just about credit repair. So I already knew how to write the stupid letters, but I was trying to do this for a lot of other people and teach other people how to do it. So I was like, damn, if I could sign up for something that would actually do this for me or for the client, I was like, I could sell this all day long, And the comp plan was pretty simple. They're like, look, you sell a couple here and you make like 50, 60 bucks, and then you move up and it's like $100 every time. And it was, I'm just giving an example, about $100 every time you send in an application, which kind of, I didn't understand that it was an advance based on 12 months, because it's more like insurance and less like network marketing. So they took 2 companies and kind of mushed them together, and it didn't come out perfect, but it was a lot of money up front. And I was like, well, I had like 800 leads on my desk at that time. And I was like, damn, I could write all of the people that are in credit. I could tell them about this program. It's $35 for an individual or $50 a month for a couple to put their credit back together using my system and this service. And I started pitching that, and what I was finding is probably we were signing up like 3 out of every 10 people. So think about this. I was making $100 per application, 3 out of 10 people. In certain weeks, I was signing up somewhere between 3 and 10 people personally for the program, because I was talking to 30 people a week at least. It was insane. There were months I was personally making $3,000 just selling the product, not networking, not recruiting, not building a team, not having all overrides. It was just me doing the work. What that resulted in was a bunch of people who could close on houses. So I didn't give a damn about this $100 from Prepaid Legal at the time. What I cared about was the $5,000 commission I was getting off of the houses. And I just found some of those recent checks. You know, one of them was like $3,800, one of them was $6,700, one of them was $8,700 because it was a bigger house. It's like $300,000 house. But I found people had credit issues in all these different situations, because if you look at statistically, out of all the people who get married, 50% of marriages end in divorce. Why is that? Because of all kinds of reasons. Financial, they don't like each other, in-laws, just weird stuff. I mean, people do weird things and they decide not to stay together. Well, another statistic that I read is that about 25%, actually it was 23 at the time, 23% of marriages that end in divorce also file bankruptcy. So that's like, I mean, in my mind, I was like, man, that's almost 25% of the population that gets married ends up filing bankruptcy. I'm like, that's a huge ass number. I'm like, if we could use this system, this 6 steps that I developed, and run those people through my system, I could put them back together, get the credit where it needs to be able to buy a house. Now, I used this system kind of myself. I did it without Prepaid Legal. I read all the books, found out what to write. I wrote the 38, 39 letters to each one of the credit bureaus. I followed up with it. I did the payment plan settlements negotiations after the bankruptcy that I went through. And I put my credit score from bankrupt to a 700 credit score in 7 months, which is really, really fast. But I knew exactly what to do, and I was very diligent in doing it. So I started teaching this to other people. They were kind of him-hawing around, and most people weren't getting it done until I found Prepaid Legal. So that's what I did, and I ended up putting a lot of people through that system. We ended up recruiting a lot of people, and I didn't know what I was doing the first time. It was just insanity on fire. Basically, it was ignorance on fire. I was just trying to figure it all out. Then the economy fell apart, if you guys remember what happened. 2006, 2007. So 2006, I was in the company and I was just kind of being too sexy. And what I mean by that is I really wasn't participating. I was just kind of hanging out all year. And then all of a sudden things started changing towards the end of the year and they started falling apart. When they started falling apart, what I ended up doing, Angie's with us. What I started doing is I started using that system and I started telling other realtors about it. And in a 71-day time frame, I basically presented, I don't even know how many people I presented to because I wasn't tracking what I was doing at that point. I was just going as fast as I could because I had the overwhelming feeling that everything was going to fall apart, which unfortunately, I was right. But I did it, I worked right at the right time, and I put 100 people in that company in a 71-day period. And I ended up hitting the top of the chart that they showed. There was actually 12 levels above that. I ended up hitting the top of the chart, put my credit back together, and we started making basically $5,000 or over a month. I did. You know, this was end of 2006, beginning of 2007. So all of a sudden, I'm an executive in this company. Went from like zero. I mean, here were the actual numbers. It was like $350 one month, $900 the next month, $1,800 the next month. So this was this run that I made this decision in 71 days. So the $300 was kind of like, that was the month I was trying to figure out what to do. The $900 is when I started the run. $900, $1,800, and then $5,000. And then basically that next year we went over $50,000 in income. I also had to end up starting the events because the events that were going on weren't targeted towards the people I was bringing in, would be the best way to say it. And what I mean by that is it wasn't really for the real estate, and I wanted to gear everything towards the real estate people that I was bringing in. The average person I brought in during that 71-day time frame, most of them made more than 6 figures. So they already knew how to sell. They already knew how to contact. They already knew how to invite. They already had a list of people to talk to. In fact, I had certain people bump up several ranks, and I thought they were going to end up passing me. They ended up not doing it, but I thought they were going to pass me. They were going so fast, and I was with little to no effort, because they had already built a reputation. They already knew the basics. So that wasn't really duplicatable to everybody else that I was talking to. But what I want to pull up here is, really quick, we're going to talk this week about getting people started right and all the dumb things I did that I didn't start people right. So that whole group of people, we didn't start right, but that group of people did really well because they already knew how to contact, they already knew how to invite, they already knew how to present, they already knew how to follow up, and they already knew how to close. They knew the 5 steps to making things happen. They just didn't know the product line. So I created 3 events. Number 1, I created an open house. The open house was to share the opportunity, period. The second thing we did is we created a training. That's what the company was doing. And I started training what I knew about the comp plan. Like, I broke the comp plan down and I was like, guys, if we really want to build it to maximize, make the most money, and the long-term approach, not the short-term approach for a bunch of stupid bonuses. I don't give a about $100. I'm like, I'm building this so I don't have to go to work anymore. If you want to build it to make $100 bonus, congratulations. Go follow corporate or whatever the hell they're telling you to do. But if you want to like retire and not work anymore and kind of sit back and go to the gym in the morning and go out to eat and then go to lunch and then go see a movie in the afternoon and then show up once a week or twice a week to a meeting for an hour, if that's the lifestyle you want and you still want to make all the money, here's the plan. Here's exactly what I did to get to that point. So for 4 years, that's what I did. I mean, I literally worked like 3 or 4 days a week for just a few hours. At the end of the month, I would just make sure everybody was qualifying. I would help out however I could, but I taught everybody to be independent. Most of my team did not call me. They figured out what to do. I taught them what to do. I taught them how it works. They were doing things backwards to what most network marketers teach. Most network marketing is teaching, contact somebody, send them a bunch of random information, praying and hoping. They were using H&P marketing. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, hope and pray. Hope and pray they open it, hope and pray they watch it, and then chase them for the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe you can get them in. And then get them on the phone with somebody. I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, why would you do that? They're like, just drip on them. Just drip on them. Just keep dripping on them. I'm like, why would I want to use Chinese water torture as a marketing technique? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So what I did is I started actually contacting them. I said, look, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. Exactly. In 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you what's going on, what we're doing. And then I'm going to thank you for looking at it. And then I'm going to say, here's how I'd like a referral if you run into somebody. And if you want to participate, this is what I'm doing and this is how it works. So if you'd ever want to participate, this is what I'm doing with people. This is how I'm ensuring people succeed. Guess what most people said? They were like, well, if it's just $100, I'll just get in. Like, I'm going to refer you people anyway. This is the best system I've seen. This is the most inexpensive system I've seen. Plus, I think I could use these other services. I was like, okay, cool. It's $100. Here's the application. You get in when you want to. And people would fill it out right there. So that's how I started doing it. I would have a coffee meeting and I would invite 3 realtors, or I would invite a realtor, a mortgage person, and an investor, and I would network with them and I would introduce everybody. We had contractors, we had real estate people, we had insurance people, and we just recruited people. That's what we did. What kind of time frame? 10 minutes? So that's what I did to get everything kicked off years ago. We built the company really big. I ended up getting into an argument with somebody and I was terminated. That's the sad reality, transparency. I was terminated. I was pissed. I left the company anyway, not on the best terms between me and this guy. And then, once I was terminated, without any question, I basically attacked that guy and his team. And what I mean attacked is we went after and recruited his team, which is unfortunate, but that's literally what happened. I've learned my lesson. I hadn't read any good books at that point. I was just like upset and 30. And I don't know if you've ever done anything stupid that you look back on and be like, that was dumb. A friend of mine's like, why didn't you call corporate and argue with them? I was like, because I was stupid. I was young and I was pissed off and I just did that. And I was like, I'm going to move on. But I left a book of business there that was gigantic. I left a book of business that was like 8,000 people. And I just walked away. I was like, fine, you don't want to play. You don't want to call me. You don't want to figure it out. But he talked to somebody who was very powerful in the company. They terminated me and I walked away. Ironically, I'm now on that guy's team. I can't wait to meet him. You know, people are like, what are you going to say? I was like, we'll see. You know, it'll just depend on when we get to that point. But there's a very likelihood we're going to run into him. So what do you do now? We got back in. We got back in 25 days ago. We've already hit level 1, level 2, level 3. Is that right?
I think we're on level 4.
We're on level 4. And our objective is to go level 5, 6, 7 in this 30-day time frame. So we literally have 15 days left. So this show is going to be kind of like a rolling video series of exactly what we're doing. And basically, I made a list of people that I needed to show this to that would make sense, and I'm having that phone conversation every day. I'm calling them and saying, hey, I need a huge favor right now. I need you to hear me out on what I'm doing. Here's the exact person that I'm looking for. Could you help me out and help me locate who I need to get in front of? And I'm showing people how it works, or at least telling them over the phone. And what I'm finding is there's 4 personalities, right? There's the D type that looks for control and is usually very visual, so I need to usually get in front of those people. There's the I type that's very inspirational, loves to talk, loves to be in a group of people, and I typically have to get in front of that person too. You know, sit down with them, show them what's going on. Then there's the C type personality that's very super analytical, and they're usually visual and need to kind of see all the moving parts and need information afterwards. And it's a slower presentation, but they will ask a lot of questions and usually like not make a decision right away. They'll follow up with me. So I'm getting in front of those people and doing it a little bit slower and giving them information. The 4th type of person is more of the S type personality, which is more slow, steady. You know, they're not going to sign up right away sometimes, but they're like, you know what, I know you, I trust you, I thought about this, and you're going to put me in a good situation, so I'll just go ahead and, you know, I'll get on board and I'll learn the details later. So I'm showing it to those 4 personalities, knowing when I go in, most of the people that I'm talking to are people that I'm friends with, or Brandy and I are friends with, that we've known, hung out with. And basically what I'm asking them is you know that I've done things like this before. You know that I've knocked these out of the park before. I'm not only getting back in, I'm not only building, but I'm pissed. Like, I'm so mad that I had left and I screwed up this 8-year period of time that I lost. I'm going to make up for it times 10. Like, I read the book, you know, or part of the book, by Grant Cardone, 10X, and that's just literally what we're doing is we're 10Xing everything, talking to more people than we've ever talked to in a shorter time frame, doing more presentations in a shorter time frame, signing more people up in a shorter time frame, and basically what you're seeing is we've got a couple promotions online, is what the results are of all of that work. Now, when I say all of that work, we're probably presenting to 2 or 3 people a day. It's not that much. I mean, in some days I think I've presented to 5 people, but it's like 2 or 3 people a day. My results are really high because these are people we're friends with, and people who have known that we've done it before. So we're getting an enormous return on investment of basically years of relationships. You know, this is odd. This isn't normal that you're going to sign this many people up this fast for the average person if you've never done it before. But the technique of what I'm doing is how I built it the first time and how I built everything else that I've done. So I'm just kind of giving you the heads up on Monday of what we're doing. Brandy's watching us do this, and Brandy was in a situation, she's like, well, most of the people we know jointly, you have more kind of influence with them, so why don't you go show those people, and then we're going to do leads. So over the weekend, we found a lead program that we're going to use, and we've written out a kind of a script and everything to do leads, because a lot of people are kind of like, man, I don't want to go talk to the same stupid 3 people again, which is true. You want to talk to them anyway. I mean, you know that you should talk to them, but it's like, what do I do after I talk to those 3? Well, this lead program is going to basically allow us to talk to people all over the country and put people in all over the country. And then what we're doing is we're building depth in an organization. So we're putting one person in, the next person gets in, goes underneath that person, the next person getting in goes underneath that person. We're drilling that straight down. Now, in this particular company, with this particular comp plan, the volume from the bottom pushes everybody up the comp plan. So the deeper that organization gets, the higher the ranks of the people at the top. Could you imagine if you're going to build 100 levels deep, just think 100 blocks back from the beach. Position 1 is at the beach looking at the ocean. Obviously, that position is very valuable. As you build back, it's kind of like going up a mountain. the positions are still really valuable because they have view of the ocean of what's going on, and you know that we're going to keep building and keep building and keep building. Once we get 100 levels, what happens? Well, at that point, somebody else in that system is taking over and they're building 100 levels back. So my goal is to find that person, teach that person, and have 5, 10, 20 people in each leg who understand what we're doing and how we're building, and I'm going to teach them exactly what to do. Brandy's going to work on the lead program with us, with a group of people. We're going to rock that out. But it's been kind of a whirlwind. We've been in 25 days. I mean, what have you seen happen so far?
Oh my goodness, it's been crazy. So, yeah, like Jeff said, I wanted him, we have a majority of the same friends. A lot of the people that I knew were from people back home, but I didn't see that would be, this would be something that they could really build a business with, because there's only 40 people in my town. So I was like, I kind of need a lead program, because all the people that I know, yeah, they may be able to make $200 or $300, but going any further than that, they may have a problem, because we are in such we're way out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm like, well, that would be a little harder for them. And I'm like, but I'll still show them, because there's always a situation where they might be able to use the product. But I did want to use a lead system. And we did this before. Like, it was a lot of fun. There is nothing more fun than being able to pick up the phone and call a bunch of people. And then if somebody's not interested, it's like, okay, no big deal. Next person. Like, it's not as personal, because I have a huge list of other people that I can contact. And so far, everybody's been really excited on the team. We had 2 people promote this week with us, which was awesome. Way to go, guys. Congrats. And it's really getting big fast.
So that's what we're doing. We're going to basically structure this team, put it together, and that's how we're doing it. The rest of this week, what I'm going to talk about specifically is how to launch people. I was fortunate to work with a guy who basically made $1 million in 5 different companies in 11 years. So, or 13 years, 5 companies, 13 years. He basically made $1 million in each one of the companies, 2 of which he was there, but he wasn't there, if that makes sense. He had to do it through the name of another person. But they went to $1 million, about somewhere between 50,000 to 75,000 people put in a company very quickly. And I always struggled in the beginning how to get people started until I met this guy, and I was like, okay, I figured out how to recruit people. And I showed him my numbers. I was like, look, I recruited a lot of people. I don't know this. I'm like, I know that I'm missing something, but I'm trying to figure out, how do I get these people started? And he's like, you've got to be kidding me. He's like, you've almost out-recruited me personally, but I have this giant team. And I'm like, I know there's like this gap that I know I'm missing. I need to figure out. And finally, he gave me kind of the blueprint of exactly how to launch people and what to do. And I was like, that makes so much more sense. And that's what I'm going to go through the rest of this week, is what he taught on how to launch people, do it over and over again. And I will tell you, it is the exact fucking opposite thing that every network marketer has ever told me. I mean, it is almost verbatim different. And I was like, and it makes so much more sense. And I was able to use this in the last company I was in and build like 35 levels deep very quickly. I mean, quicker than I ever have, easier than I ever have. And we had more people participating than I ever have, just using this one technique this guy told me. So that's what we're going to talk about the rest of this week, starting tomorrow. But every day, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 12, the Going Executive Director Show is basically just talking about how to put together an executive directorship. So tomorrow we're going to talk about launching people, what to do when you get them, what to say, how to say it, what your objective is, what you're trying to get done. So I appreciate everybody for watching. We'll go ahead and tag the rest of the people that we were supposed to in this, that we forgot to do. And right now I got to jump off this and jump onto the MLM Leadership Show, where we go over one of John Maxwell's laws every day with Bess. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll tag you in it. And tomorrow we're going to get started talking about what? Talking about launching people. Thank you so much.